Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Drew Grimaldi podcast. We have quite a show for you guys here today. It's the day after Halloween. We have had some crazy shit that went down in the world, especially right here in Michigan. This Halloween, the FBI has taken down an ISIS-connected terror plot here in the United States, but not just here in the United States, here in Michigan. They found this. And where, of course, were they? They were in Dearborn, Michigan. And this video right here, is a video of them going into the house in Dearborn, Michigan. It's insane that this is going on in the United States, but especially right here in our backyard. But check this out.
Oh, there they go. Long set up.
But this is happening here in Michigan, and they were planning on doing something where they were going to go and just probably take out a bunch of kids, because that's how sick these people are. But I saw the arsenal, and they had tons of rounds, shotguns, ARs. So I think we need to flood Dearborn, Michigan with federal agents. It sounds like they're already doing that, but you know, it's just sickening that every time we try to do something good for the country as a Republican, as a Make America Great Again, as America First, there's always an obstacle in the way with the Democrat Party. I've said this before. If Donald Trump cured cancer, the headline of Politico or Atlantic would say, Trump cures cancer. Here's how that might be a bad thing. They are just so disingenuous. They're not real journalists at all. They're just propagandists. And right now we're in a government shutdown. And this is the first government shutdown that polling is showing that it has fallen directly, and that the Democrats are the ones being blamed for the shutdown. And they're being blamed for the shutdown because the Republicans have voted 13 times to keep the government open, and all 13 times on a clean CR. The same CR that the Democrats had voted on many other times under the Biden administration to keep the funding rolling. This is the same type of CR. It keeps the same Biden-level spending, all the above, but the Democrats will not budge because they want to fund illegals' health care. Now, people say, well, it's illegal for, if somebody who's not a U.S. citizen to be on these programs. That is true. But when you have a state, for example, a liberal state, and they just have this massive slush fund, where they're just paying all these things out, it doesn't matter where the government money, it comes into one account. The way that the state spends it's another thing. And states like New York, many others, California, they're the ones that are actually paying for this. And it's just a leech on the American taxpayer. And what we could be really doing is getting down the national debt, which is really important. And I think that's the biggest thing. But right now, this is who the Democrats have running their party. Timu Obama here. This guy is such a loser. He has seen nothing but Democrat losses. So we like him because he has made the opposition just so easy. But this is the dumbest opposition I've ever seen to a political candidate. Check this out.
Willing to sit down and have a conversation. Y'all did have a phone conversation, I believe you said earlier today. Who initiated that call? Was that you or was that Speaker Johnson?
It was a call from Mike Johnson. It was very brief. And it wasn't a substantive discussion in terms of finding a path forward.
But was he calling to talk about the government shutdown?
I mean, you could say that was in the ballpark, but, it was a private conversation that will remain private. However, nothing meaningful came out of it, again, because Donald Trump has not given Mike Johnson permission to enter into a bipartisan negotiation. Caitlin, I mean, House Republicans have been literally on vacation for the last 5 weeks. They've canceled votes 5 consecutive weeks in a row. They are uninterested in doing anything other than jamming their partisan Republican spending bill down the throats of the American people. And as Democrats, we've made clear
it's the same spending bill that they've
support a partisan
voted
Republican spending bill that continues to gut the health care of the American people. Period. Full stop.
So I think like she was getting to exactly what they were trying to the point, was that Republicans are reaching out. They are trying to talk. He just said, yeah, Speaker Johnson called me to talk about it. And she's like, okay, so he is reaching out to you to try to negotiate, and it's the Democrats that aren't negotiating. And the guy's terrible. And the guy's literally hired probably, like, because of the color of his skin. He's a DEI hire, and it's disgusting to say. But the guy is just not qualified for his spot. Everything from what he says to how he speaks, this guy has seen the Democrats lose in every front. They've lost every major election and party and everything since this guy's taken office. Since this guy has become the minority leader. But you just have this like really bad moral compass on the Democrat side, you know? Like you have, and I played it last week, Jay Jones saying how he wanted to kill a Republican, and he's running in Virginia, and the Virginia governor's race, Abigail Spanberger, will not condone what he said. Well, running on that same theme, she says she's not going to work with Donald Trump. She's not going to work with Republicans. Check out this video. This is her saying just that. And it's disgusting that these Democrats just won't work across the aisle. This is not your father's Democrat Party, but check this out. This is insane. This is crazy.
Position yourself as a consensus builder, someone who works across the aisle. Would you work with President Trump on areas like job creation?
I think that, you don't work with the arsonist who burns down the house to rebuild it. And in this particular case, the individual who's responsible for an absolute attack on the federal workforce is not the right person to help rebuild our economy.
You position yourself as a consensus.
So she said it. Democrats have no interest in working with Donald Trump. They have completely said, we're not going to work with the Republicans. We're going to shut down the government until they give us the trillions of dollars that we want to fund illegals. Now, the other argument to that is that by saying that we have to do this, otherwise people's health insurance premiums will go up, Democrats are admitting that Obamacare failed. That is them admitting that it failed. And that's Obama's legacy, was that he lied about everything when it comes to Obamacare. And the fact of the matter is that these premiums were set to spike under the original Obamacare plan anyways. That's how they were going to fund it. So during COVID, they put these COVID-level spending spree so to keep those premiums artificially low, very low during COVID months. And by doing that, now those are set to expire. And now they're saying, well, people's premiums are about to go up and the Republicans don't care. No, we do care. But the Democrats also have to take responsibility for their failure, which is Obamacare. And there's only one Democrat that actually makes any sense these days, and his name's John Fetterman. Now, I remember Charlie Kirk was talking about John Fetterman, and John Fetterman ran as a Democrat, fairly liberal. He had just had a stroke, and he could barely speak, but he won the seat. And then as he came back to, he started supporting Israel and doing things against his own party because he knew that it was the right thing to do. And John Fetterman is now, the Democrats, they're talking about primarying him. and he's actually pretty popular in the state of Pennsylvania. But John Fetterman, it was Charlie Kirk, and he said, when he started supporting Israel, he goes, I didn't see the John Fetterman redemption arc coming. Well, it wasn't on my bingo card, but I guess here we are. And I thought that's a great line because it's so true. This is John Fetterman here, Democrat, who, like I said, they're talking about primarying. The Democrats want to get rid of their own guy because he makes too much sense. And I mean, why would they want anybody that makes sense? But he essentially here apologizes.
So what are you hearing back home
for
Snap
his Democrats?
I'm saying that I will witness it firsthand. My wife, Giselle, she develops the free store in our community, and it distributes food 3 times a week. And her lines have already got longer. And now I will encounter people that have no SNAP benefits starting on Saturday, and I don't have an explanation for them. All I could say is, I'm sorry. It's an absolute failure what occurred here for the last month, and now things are really going to land. And imagine being a parent with a couple kids and how you're going to fill their refrigerator and pack their lunches and get on with their lives when the things that they've depended on now is gone because we can't even agree to just open things up. For a Democrat, we're not allowed to just open this up. I mean, then our party has bigger problems than I thought we might have already. It's like, that's not controversial. Pay everybody. And you have our workers here borrowed over $350 million to pay their own bills. Like, it's a failure. And like I said, to all of the viewers, I'm apologizing that we can't even get our shit together and just open up our government.
Schumer said this gets better politically every day for Democrats. What do you say to that?
Yeah, well, ask the hungry people on Saturday. It's like, that's the thing. Americans are not leveraged. This is not some shitty game show about who's winning or whatever. It's just like we have to be better than this and just open this up. And I do, talk to any number of Republicans who they agree that we have this conversation about extending these tax credits.
He's the only Democrat that makes any sense these days. And they are literally talking about primarying him when he comes up in 26. Meanwhile, the new faces of the Democrat Party that are taking over, that everybody thinks on that side of the aisle is just fantastic, is you have Zohran Mamdani, who's running for mayor in New York, and the guy is openly an anti-Semitic. He hates the Jews. Let me say that again. Mamdani hates the Jews. He has literally chanted globalize the Intifada on his just out in public. And look at this. So this one here, and as these videos come out to see, as you see these, Mamdani came out winning the primary in New York against this is really disgusting though, but this gives you an idea of who he is and like why would you even say half of these things. But let me get to this video here, okay? This is the type of shit that he says, and it's disgusting because I want everybody to know the type of person that he is.
Only an isolating experience. I'm very lucky in that I have 5 other DSA endorsed comrades who are with me in the Assembly and in the State Senate. But for example, before we were elected, Julia Salazar was in office for 2 years without a single other socialist endorsed by DSA and understanding. It then makes it much easier to run a campaign that will be built around raising class consciousness because we will run the campaign challenging the current status quo, showcasing it through our critique how this is an issue of capitalism. Good question. So there are 107 Democrats in the New York State Assembly out of 150 Assembly people. And of those 107 Democrats, there are 6 DSA endorsed electeds and 7 DSA members. We have a 7th person who's a DSA member, though she wasn't endorsed by DSA. Her name is Jessica Gonzalez Rojas. We clearly do not have the numbers as they are in this moment to win the radical legislation that we need to bring about and begin to believe that these kinds of results are sufficient. We have to continue to elect more socialists, and we have to ensure that we are unapologetic about our socialism. Now, we had an
socialism. He's a communist.
And one of the aspects of that was to fight to stop study abroad at universities in Israel that were complicit in the occupation, many of which of weapons technology for the IDF.
So he just said that
now
Israel was complicit.
The issue of Israel, Palestine, apartheid to Bowdoin, you bring it front and center, it's harder to ignore. And then making sure that we move to dismantle that relationship. Those are things that you can do as a legislator, right? You can, like, for example, Governor Cuomo has an executive order barring, I think New York State from doing business with any company suspected of sympathizing with BDS. One thing I can do as a legislator is once we build up enough, build up a large enough coalition for this, we overturn that executive order. But I sincerely believe in this political project. I sincerely believe in socialism. For me, it was Palestine that brought me into this movement.
He's not even from America.
It can be such a lonely experience to be a socialist, and it was for me, country, because my journey, as Oren alluded to and referred to, in organizing began at my college campus with Students for Justice in Palestine. To power this journey and understanding that it is.
Do you understand how dangerous this guy is for New York
right now? Right, if we're talking about the cancellation of student debt, if we're talking about Medicare for all, these are issues which have the groundswell of popular support across this country.
They do not.
But then there are also other issues that we firmly believe in, whether it's BDS, right, or whether it is the end goal of seizing the means of production.
That is unreal, and that's the guy who's trying to take over New York, the capitalist capital of the world. Like, that's where all the major trade goes down. And it's just crazy to me that this is who the Democrats want. And they are blatantly saying that this guy is the new face of the Democrat Party, the Free Palestine guys. That's insane that you have a party that calls people Hitler and then actually hates the Jews. That's insane. But that's what these people do. And this is Mormon Dami saying some crazy shit right here. This is what I was saying. He's out there yelling this stuff so that everybody can hear him. This is a video that should make everybody nervous. Everybody nervous. Let me see here. Hold on. So, this is it right here. Check this out.
Here is what we stand for, my friends. We are going to freeze the rent for more than 2 million rent-stabilized tenants and use every resource at our disposal to build housing for everyone who needs it.
Free stuff!
We are going to eliminate the fare on every single bus line.
Free stuff!
And make what are currently the slowest buses in the nation move around this city with ease.
Free stuff!
And we are going to create universal child care at no cost to parents. So New Yorkers can raise their family in the
You want the government raising your kids?
Together, New York, we're going to freeze the... Together, New York, we're going to make buses fast and... Free. Together, New York,
free stuff.
We're going to deliver universal... We will make our city one where every person who calls it home can live a dignified life.
It's the most expensive city in the world. Move someplace the fuck else.
No New Yorker should ever be priced out of anything they need to survive.
Move out of the most expensive city in the country.
We believe then, we believe today, we will tomorrow that it is government's job to deliver that dignity. Dignity, my friends, is another way of saying freedom. Standing before you this evening, I take great strength from those who have labored mightily for the cause of freedom in America.
This guy is so dangerous for New York. It's just free stuff, free stuff, free stuff, and free Palestine. That should be his slogan, because that's what he basically stands for. This guy is the voice for all the illegals. And like, there was somebody that was chirping me about the price of eggs, and they live in Chicago. Don't fucking talk to me about the price of eggs when you live in Chicago, okay? If you live in someplace in Michigan and they're that expensive, then maybe we can talk. But like, when you're talking about Chicago, you are living in the most expensive place to live. I don't want to hear about prices being expensive. That's part of living there. Now, Democrats just wanted to import all these third world people, all of these criminals, all of these illegal aliens, and California started giving them all of these like CDLs, commercial driver's licenses, and they're driving all over the country, and they're getting stopped in other states, and they can't even freaking speak English. This one right here is an illegal immigrant from California that got pulled over by the police for being in a no parking zone, and he couldn't even read the sign. Watch this. This is insane.
You understand English? You do? Why did you park here? No good. Is there anybody else in the truck? Is there anybody else in the truck?
My company.
It's on.
Yeah, okay.
You don't understand English. What company do you work for?
The company, California.
Your company's called California?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't understand me.
No pants, no English. My company is California. What about signs?
Will Kane played that, and it's like, what are you talking about? Like, how is that okay? You can't read the freaking signs, yet you're going to give them a commercial driver's license to drive commercially big trucks all over there. There was recently a killing of somebody that couldn't read the stop sign. He was all messed up on drugs, took a turn, and killed people. U.S. citizens. This will be Biden's legacy. But you have Canada's top general right here, okay? This one here, this is why Canada, they haven't quite learned their lesson yet. So they need to feel maybe a little bit of pain economically. But like, this is their top general legit saying that they apologize for systemic racism. And it's like, what are you talking about? Like, that is the problem with a lot of these liberal countries, is that they're just out there. Listen to this.
Are an affront to these values, and yet we allowed these injustices to occur and fester within our ranks. Therefore, on behalf of the Canadian Armed Forces, I offer my most sincere and deepest apologies. I apologize to every CAF member, veteran who experienced racism, discrimination, and harassment. And I acknowledge we failed you.
And that right there is why the rest of the world struggles to take Canada seriously. But I digress. You have Biden, who, as the disgraced president that he was, going out the door, started to pardon all these people, and we're like, what the heck is going on? Joe Biden pardoned 4,245 people on his way out the door. And it's now coming to light that he actually didn't even know that some of these pardons were going on. And so it brings us to the autopen scandal. Now, the autopen scandal should rock everybody. Joe Biden had no clue what was going on the last days of his presidency. So when you hear Kamala Harris say that stuff, like, oh yeah, listen to this. These are all of the former White House. This is their testimony on the autopen.
In the campaign, the president's fitness or his age? Did you ever see President Biden in a wheelchair?
I do not recall ever seeing President Biden in a wheelchair.
And new information now on the people in his inner circle and how the cover-up actually operated.
Senior aides that worked here until just a couple months ago, the beginning of this year, manipulating an ailing president for their own gain.
How much were you paid for your role in the campaign in 2024?
Just a little bit short of $4 million.
I'm sorry, how much?
$4 million.
He was going to make $4 million.
Should stay in the race. Your own financial stake in the matter was a factor in any way in your advice to the president.
I don't believe that.
And when it comes to President Biden's decline, the official word from Biden world about all these news stories is that nothing has been revealed this week that shows that President Biden was anything but an effective president.
Yes, I noticed that he was aging in terms of his physical condition. I noticed that, he shuffled more.
That he has more stumbling over words and gaffes than he did at the beginning of the term.
His rhetorical skills were not as strong as they had been, and his speeches were less effective, I thought.
We talked about age. We knew it was an issue, and we tried to design a strategy.
We had a discussion at the senior advisor level about whether the president should have a cognitive exam.
Flashback now to the legacy media's complete denial of the president's cognitive decline.
Start your tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden is the best Biden ever.
His mental acuity is great. It's fine. It's as good as it's been over the years.
He is sharp. He is on top of things.
Do you regret saying that President Biden had a mental acuity? He had a sharpness to him.
I said what I believe to be true.
And you think he was as sharp as you?
I said I had not seen decline. And I hadn't.
He is just fine. How people interpret that is up to them.
We're watching the testimony of this woman here, Annie Tomasini. She's the former senior advisor to President Joe Biden. She was the third person set to appear before James Comer's committee. She has now taken the fifth. There is now a pattern of key Biden confidants seeking to shield themselves from criminal liability for this potential conspiracy.
Were you ever told to lie about the president's health?
The advice of counsel, I must respectfully decline to answer based upon the physician patient privilege and in reliance on my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution.
Let the record reflect that Dr. O'Connor has invoked the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination. Dr. O'Connor, did you ever believe the president was unfit to execute his duties as president?
And we can tell you that he will have the same answer with respect to any questions that are asked.
Did any unelected official or family member of President Joe Biden execute the duties of the presidency? Did Joe Biden, a member of his family, or anyone at the White House ever instruct you to lie regarding his health?
On the advice of counsel, I respectfully decline to answer the question pursuant to my Fifth Amendment rights under the Constitution.
And if that wasn't shocking enough, Dick Tapper claims Hunter Biden was basically acting like the chief of staff.
Hunter was driving the decision making for the family. He was almost like a chief of staff.
Did you notice an uptick ever when Hunter Biden was around?
Yes. Towards the end, I think he was living with the president.
They were lying not just to the public, they were lying to other Democrats.
Have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
Were you in favor of Hunter Biden getting a pardon?
Yes. Did you ever ask Joe Biden if the allegations regarding his son were true?
No.
Ian Sams, who was the White House spokesperson, interacted with him
2 times. 2 times.
Well, I think it's really important to take the soundbite and understand the context.
How often would you say that you interacted with the president in person?
I interacted with him pretty infrequently. I think I met with the president a handful of times during my tenure in the White House. I got to say, that doesn't look anything like the president that I know. When I deal with him, he's sharp, he's asking tough questions. That's the President Biden that so many of us experience every single day.
You don't think it's missing some context?
I don't.
So it raises serious concerns and serious questions about who was calling the shots in the White House. If the White House spokesperson is being shielded from the President of the United States, who was operating the Oval Office?
Age wasn't an issue for you, for President Biden?
No, it was not a concern.
Do you think President Biden was fully in command that night during the debate?
I do believe that he was fully in command that night during the debate.
I knew it was very difficult to get past some of the visual things that were causing people concern about the president's speech.
The voters' concerns about President Biden were wrong?
Yes.
He often would confuse names.
Do you think it got worse as you knew him?
Yes.
Are you sure you're being honest with yourself when you say you have the mental and physical capacity to serve another 4 years?
Yes, I am.
I did not have the experience that it took him longer to answer a simple question.
He could stumble. He also stumbled some physically.
What is a cheap fake?
It was something that we did not coin. It was something that the media coined.
Did you or did anyone ever verify if the videos you were talking about were in fact cheap fakes?
I believe so.
But there were instances where videos were circulated of President Biden appearing confused or freezing for a moment that were real, correct?
Not that I recall.
She told you this real video of Biden getting lost in an Italian field was fake. Now she's saying, yeah, my White House was broken and I'm switching parties.
And was suffering from a cold that really constrained his voice and constrained his ability to be forceful in the debate.
Do you attribute President Biden's performance that night to him being under the weather?
That's my assumption.
The ability of Medicare for us to be able to negotiate drug prices with the big pharma companies.
Had you ever seen him have a cold or the flu before?
Yes.
Did he ever behave the way that he did during the debate?
Not that I ever saw.
It was clear what he was trying to say.
Dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
It was the people that knew he was cognitively impaired and that took over the autopen. They stole the presidency of the United States.
Do you know who the people who were actually operated the autopen were?
I do not.
Do you know any of the actual staff who were using the autopen?
No.
You don't know their names?
No.
Have you never seen a decision memo laying out the breakdown of when the president should hand sign a particular set of documents?
Not prior to prep.
Did he hand sign all executive orders?
He did not. He hand signed many executive orders, but he did not hand sign all executive orders.
Can you read your response?
I approve the use of the autopen for the execution of all the following pardons. Thanks, Jay-Z.
Did you yourself write this email?
I do not believe I did.
That autopen was used excessively, and yet no one can say for certain that Joe Biden was given the orders to use the autopen.
We've been pretty transparent from the very beginning with providing information as it occurs throughout this process.
That we anticipated that her report was going to come out and that we didn't feel an entire interview before the Super Bowl talking about classified documents was going to help the cause too much.
I think you can question the validity and the legality of those pardons and executive orders, and that's huge.
But the president is absolutely sharp, fit, on top of his game.
So they're just making up lies to attack the president.
But do you think his mental acuity had declined?
There you have it. That is a rundown of that scandal. And I think they need to void those pardons. Because some of the guys that they let out were legitimately criminals. They were guys that were murderers. And it's just crazy that you have this going on. We don't know who was running the White House. It was a collective group of extremely liberal interns that were not elected, and they were just running amok. Now, CNN is forced to have to reckon with this too. And Scott Jennings has been amazing on CNN. He has just been a breath of fresh air, but he's always like a drop the mic kind of guy, and he's obviously a conservative. But check this one out. This one here, CNN finally coming to terms with the Biden autopen scandal and how they should void those pardons, just based on the fact that they
the executive order power.
This right here, check it out.
Autopens has existed in every presidential administration across parties. I had an autopen when I worked at ICE.
I'm sorry, Elliot Williams.
Elliot Williams literally had an autopen.
You were important enough to have an autopen. I'm so impressed.
I am important, Casey, but no, and so it's a common practice.
Did you allow people to use the name Elliot Williams without your knowledge of the document or what was on the page?
I don't recall. So
I'm asking you, if you were a government official and you had an autopen, which you did, would you let some staffer sign things in your name without reading?
Yeah, here's the question. Was my authority delegated to that person? And I think they do have the authority to do so. Laws and and I'm serious, Scott, laws and regulations.
The authority to delegate pardons and executive orders, the President of the United States can say, you unelected staffer can go sign my name on a document that I've never seen for a decision that I've never made?
Quite often, the United States Code delegates authority. So through the President of the United States, through the Attorney General, whatever else, X person can carry out a function. And certainly that could be the case. Now, Donald Trump, for instance, in his first term, pardoned like 1,600 people. And I have a hard time believing that he was aware of every single person that he was pardoning. One could make a challenge. Every president does this. Now, if it's a question about Biden's fitness for office, did he know what he was? Of course, raise that question. But I just, one, given how vast the pardon power is, and two, given how comprehensive the use of autopens are across administrations, I have a hard time seeing a legal challenge.
Nobody can be delegated the pardon power.
Yes.
It is a constitutional power.
Yes.
And I don't really think you can delegate the executive order power either, because the executive has to make the order.
So, Scott, the president...
And drop the mic. He does such a good job on the channel, and it's like he just hits them with fact and then just looks at them like they're fucking stupid. I love it, dude. That's so funny. But this is President Trump on the autopen scandal, because the President of the United States needs to say what he has to say on this too. It's important. Knowing what he knows now and all the facts that Joe Biden did not sign those pardons, and how they just tried to do blanket pardons for everybody that might have committed a crime during the Biden administration out the door. This is President Trump on that right here. Here you go.
Borders. You know, Joe Biden didn't believe in open borders. He didn't. I've known him for a long time. He was never the brightest bulb in the ceiling, as we know. You can go back 40 years ago and you'll see that. Go back and take a look at the hearings on Justice Thomas, and you'll see that very much. But he didn't believe in open borders and all of this nonsense that they're peddling now, which is why they're not in office any longer. It's a shame. The autopen was illegal. It was illegally used. He never gave the orders. He never told them what to do. And I guess the only one he signed, or one of the few he signed, was the pardon for his son. Joe Biden wasn't giving those orders.
And I think that's such a true statement. Like, you know, he wasn't. That was so against everything that Joe Biden had ever stood for. I mean, it's just crazy. But I'm going to get to this one now. So one of the favorites on the Democrat Party that also just keep giving is Jasmine Crockett. She's from Texas, and she says that Republicans come up to her in the airport and just praise her, give her all kinds of praise. And some people aren't buying it, but this is the video of her here. Check this one out. Check it out. Check it out. Here we go. If we can get this. 1 second. So she has been known to just say some crazy shit. But
as
listen to
threats,
this.
and they are trying to thwart those threats before they rise too much, right?
Yeah, I mean, why do you think that they've tried to sort of elevate you and others like AOC to become sort of the faces of the Democratic Party? That's kind of how they try to talk about you.
I think that personally they are threatened. When you look at AOC is the highest fundraising member in the U.S. House, period. Above Democrats, Republicans, that is number one. When you look at the crowds that she garners when she goes out, that is a scary thing for him, right? And a lot of the people that I believe that he wants to appeal to, AOC is one of the few people that can actually break through. Well, I would argue that as much as I go against him, I would imagine that I get some of those folk too. I remember when we were doing our art competition in my district, and obviously it's open to all the kids in the district. And I remember a father coming up to me and telling me, I appreciate you for doing this competition. My daughter loved participating. I am a Republican, but I love you. I have been in all kinds of cities and airports and otherwise where people walk up to me, and of course they don't have an R on their forehead, but they tell me that they have a difference when it comes to politics, but they love me. And so I think it is that actually concerns him. And it is a reason that he wants to make sure that he is doing everything that he can to stop us. But honestly, he only elevates us. It only makes people look at us and say, man, if he's threatened by, AOC, who's still in her 30s, and me, who's still technically in my early 40s, two women that are in the House, they must be doing something right.
So she has Republicans that come up to her and tell her how good of a job that she does. There is not a single Republican that comes up to her. This is her referring to Governor Abbott from Texas. He is in a wheelchair, and this is her making a comment about him in a wheelchair. Check this one out. If we can get this up here. So, this is Governor Abbott right here. This is what she had to say.
Thank you so much, Morgan, because we in these hot-ass Texas streets, honey. Y'all know we got Governor Hot Wheels down there. Come on now. And the only thing hot about him is that he is a hot-ass mess, honey.
Real classy stuff there from Jasmine Crockett, making fun of somebody in a wheelchair. But, I mean, she is the face of the Democrat Party right now, along with her and AOC, and they could never articulate their ideas truly. Here's another Jasmine Crockett video for you. And again, it's crazy.
Said over and over the word oppression, and every time that you said it, it was almost as if I was hearing nails on a chalkboard. There has been no oppression for the white man in this country. You tell me which white men were dragged out of their homes. You tell me which one of them got dragged all the way across an ocean and told that you are going to go and work. We are going to steal your wives. We are going to rape your wives. That didn't happen. That is oppression. We didn't ask to be here. It is white men on this side of the aisle telling us, people of color on this side of the aisle, that y'all are the ones being oppressed.
Look at the earring. She's so oppressed, but yet she's wearing like Dolce & Gabbana fucking earrings and stuff. But I digress. These people, they are fake. They are fake. They are fake. They are fake. But that is all the time I have for you guys this Saturday. Thank you so much for watching. The Drew Grimaldi podcast will be back next Saturday at 11 a.m. Check it out. Keep the faith and get out there and talk shit to a liberal today.